First up, I love this concept and I think you're going to love it too. This is the concept of the diminishing returns of enjoyment, especially when it comes to indulging in our favourite foods. Have you ever noticed that the first few bites of something are often the most delicious? Let's explore why that happens. When you treat yourself to your favourite snack, your favourite dessert, your favourite food, the first few bites are often filled with so much pleasure. It's like this massive dopamine hit as your kind of pleasure sensors are having an absolute riot. It's almost like a little party in your mouth. Now, studies show that the enjoyment we derive from food can be mapped out, and it typically follows a pattern. The first few bites, they give us the most satisfaction. This is simply because our taste buds are fresh and the novelty of the flavour really excites us. Because of this, there is a peak to our enjoyment of our favourite food, or any food in fact. We have an enjoyment peak. As you keep eating though, something really interesting happens, and the enjoyment, it kind of starts to diminish. You might still really like the taste, but it doesn't feel as thrilling as the first few bites were. And this is the principle of diminishing returns. I think it's absolutely crucial that we recognise this pattern, especially when it comes to indulging in our favourite foods. Those are probably the foods that trip us up more often than not. And those are often the foods that are more caloric and perhaps are not in line with our goals. Now, this isn't me saying don't have them. This is me saying to apply the concept of peak enjoyment and diminishing returns, and I'm going to talk you through that now. My good friend and often mentioned strategy that I keep banging on about of mindful eating totally comes into play. Mindful eating helps us savour every bite, and it helps us recognise when we have kind of reached peak satisfaction or peak enjoyment when it comes to eating. So slow down, take your time with each bite, enjoy the flavours, enjoy the texture, enjoy the aroma. And that is going to help heighten your enjoyment of the food. Listen to your body, pay attention to your body's signals. After a few bites, check in with yourself. Are you still enjoying it as much as you were the first few mouthfuls, the first few bites? Are you starting to feel full? Which leads me to stopping before you are full. Often we wait until we're completely full before we stop eating. What we don't realise is that actually it takes a while for our brain to catch up with our stomach. So actually what we are doing is stopping once we've overeaten, rather than when we are actually full. Instead, by slowing down, just try and stop when you feel satisfied. Now, that might not be satisfied from a fullness perspective. That might be satisfied from an enjoyment perspective. Ask yourself, have I had my fill? Am I enjoying this as much as I was the first few bites? Or could I stop now and be perfectly happy with stopping now? That way, you can enjoy your food without feeling stuffed afterwards, but also then having those guilty pangs when you do feel stuffed afterwards and you recognise that you have indeed overeaten. That takes the enjoyment out of that meal, and I don't want that to happen. The goal ultimately is to savour those first few bites and to stop before your enjoyment starts to wane. Have a read of the PDF that accompanies this video. There's a little diagram in there that helps to visualise this for you. And there are some further hints and tips that you can apply. But I love this concept of thinking about peak enjoyment and diminishing returns. It can really change your relationship with eating your favourite foods and still enjoy them without often having the guilt associated with it. Any questions? Just ask.